feel like that's where compassion comes in, because when we're holding on to that absolutist view that, I mean, really it's a aversion response wearing spiritual clothing. Um, there's nothing happening, and therefore the emotional response that's coming through the unit is somehow not based in truth, or it's not um, there's like a mistake, or there's something wrong, or something like that. And in my experience, what can initially feel like a disconnect between non-dual insight and how relativity is playing out, apparently, that disconnect dissolves when we consciously meet our expression as this from the love that we are. Because given that this isn't happening to or for anyone, and given that whatever is arising can't actually define what we are or touch what we are,
Mm.
that opens up the opportunity to unconditionally love what's here and embrace what's here. And really, it's not a choice that then leads to something, it's just aligning with what's already the case. You're already embracing this as what you are, as the love that you are. And so if it feels like there's a disconnect, that quality of love is just being overlooked or denied. And really that happens out of fear of intimacy, because this is you. You're not separate from anything. There isn't anything outside of you to be separate from. And that negating, that putting away, that holding at arm's length, that the tendency to take the absolutist view is coming from, is just a way to not be with what is as what is. There's we cope with the absolutist view because the narrative is painful.
Mm.
But if we look closer at what's actually here, nothing in the narrative is actually here. There's just what is. There's just this radiant aliveness. And there isn't anything wrong. There isn't anything broken. There isn't anything missing. There isn't anything that needs to be resolved. Even if there's emotion playing out that's difficult, there's been a lot of grief coming up in this relative life. So my grandma is at the end of um, her time here and has been for a while, and I'm caregiving for her, and it's it's very difficult emotionally. But I'm not able to effectively process those emotions if I'm viewing the relative experience as something that's actually inconsistent with non-dual insight. There's only non-duality, so that's, if it feels like there's two modes playing out, two views that are inconsistent with each other, like we were saying at the beginning, the invitation is to look closer at what are we presupposing to be the case. And in looking closer at that, the imagined division resolves, the imagined disconnect resolves, and then there's just unconditionally being with and as what you are. And there's a tenderness, there's a gratitude, just a love that, like, that's all you wanted. All you wanted was to see that the rope isn't actually a snake. All you wanted was just to celebrate um, the playfulness of sometimes seeing the rope as a snake, but honoring the ropeness of the rope. To use that metaphor, it's this the suffering is based in, I know what this is, and even further than that, that there's someone that this is appearing to and for. Um, but all the ideas of, you know, this is a difficult situation, it should be different,
mm,
or that there's a mistake, or this emotional response isn't
mm,
based in true insight. I mean, on one hand, that there's some validity in that because it's not the conditioning that wakes up, or it's not the conditioning that sees clarity. There's clear recognition. Um, but really, that suffering, that resistance, what that's inviting is, you know, see me for what I am, which is you, which is the aliveness that you are. Not this story that's being pasted over top of, this is a difficult situation for a Bo or for a Dennis. That this is a human life that has all this stuff. Like, those are all ideas and frameworks that we can use as a way of exploring and navigating, and it has practical use. But that difficulty, the suffering, is in that's the alarm clock, as Fred says, of,
mm,
I'm there's a conditioned believing in a story, and the suffering is that it's not actually the believing in the story is what's incongruous with insight. It's not the presence of what's appearing that's incongruous. And that is clear in looking closer at, what am I actually believing this to be? And that doesn't mean that grief goes away, or anger goes away, or difficult emotions go away, because that's love too. That's that's part of the delight of this. The beauty, the miracle of experiencing is all of those difficult human experiences. It's not going to feel that way to the to the mind, but the good thing is that um, we don't have to wait for an argument with what is to ever be in agreement with what is, because it's based out of being in argument with what is. Resistance will never express acceptance, right? So
mm,
we can just put that to rest and let the mind do what it does. And what the mind does is less burdensome when we look closer at what is that really? What is that activity really? A mind is only in reference to someone that knows
mm.
what that appearance is in reference for. For being honest, Nothing here can be described accurately in any way. And that's the freedom. This is taking care of itself, and sometimes that looks like having an emotionally difficult experience. It's always like, what is the invitation here?